As we mark another World Environment Day in the midst of a global pandemic, I sat down with the United Nations Environment Programme Executive Director Inger Andersen. I started by asking her what some of the most pressing environmental issues were and if the pandemic had further worsened them. Take a look.
We are losing nature and biodiversity and species at an alarming rate. And the pollution and waste crisis, our own toxic trail from our development that we are not dealing with properly. These crises are sort of pushing us, irrespective of where we are, whether you live in Kenya, in the US, in Europe, in Asia and Latin America. These crises are the ones that are really confronting us as a global civilization, and they are the ones that we have to address.
So what has the pandemic done in terms of impact on pollution? You know, earlier on we saw how the decrease in human activity actually helped.
You know, it's interesting, isn't it? Because in the early days, when there was sort of nearly a global lockdown, we saw these incredible photos from New Delhi, or where all of a sudden you saw sort of before and after, where you could see just that yellow cloud had disappeared. You saw it from a number of cities across the world. So that was sort of for a moment where we saw what the world could be like. But of course, we have to understand that with the PPE that we have to use, with the lack of incineration that many countries unfortunately still have pertaining to medical waste, we have seen an uptick in medically related and other hazardous materials waste, which unfortunately has found their way into waterways, streams and streets and so on.
Probably the most visible environmental issues we've seen were the rising water levels in some of our lakes here in Kenya, or even the desert locust swarms. But what do they say about generally what our environment is going through?
Well, we have to say that locusts have been known since biblical times, obviously, but we can see this incidence of locusts also on the increase, although it is also a naturally occurring phenomenon. And so the real action that we need to take is to step into understanding that even though it's so far removed from that person sitting by the lakeside and seeing the waters come into his home, the G20 countries are responsible for nearly 80% of all carbon emissions. So there's a homework to do by the wealthy countries, i.e. they have to live up to their Paris commitments. We all do, but it's especially important that the wealthier countries so do. And then countries such as Kenya that have stepped into renewable energy very early on geothermal, on wind, etc. They need to get the support to expand that network, to ensure that there's energy for all, but that it is renewable and clean.
I've been seeing ecosystem restoration being a very strong theme, especially this year. Why is it so critical now?
We will be launching the Ecosystem Restoration Decade, and that's an important decade. This is a worldwide effort to seek to put back into productive, healthy landscapes, working landscape, that which we, human beings, have degraded. We have to understand that all that land, nearly 40% of agricultural land, has a degree of degradation. That's not good for anyone. It's not good for food productivity. It's not good for biodiversity. It's not good for poverty alleviation. So what is it we need to do to restore these degraded ecosystems? Well, we need to think about, in a place like Kenya, shade agriculture, intercropping, agroforestry. Are there ways that we can reduce the chemical input and use more natural input into the farming techniques?
You know, we always talk about environmental issues in relation to what humans have done. But if we keep seeing this trend of environmental degradation, what does it mean to humanity? What's the cost to us?
I mean, you're asking the core issue that I think we at UNEP and anybody who gets the science poses to themselves, because it is an existential issue, isn't it? We cannot make the assumption that the earth will continue to supply us with plenty, that rain will follow rain, that harvest will follow harvest like it has always been, because we are in a way pulling the rug, the very rug from under humanity's feet by destroying the soils and the ecosystems, by polluting the waterways and the air, and by changing the climate. So I often have said that COVID-19, which has been so very dreadful and caused so much hardship and sorrow, I'm afraid that it is just a small overture to what could happen if we do not take action. But the good news is that there are so many people who want to take action. The good news is that we have leaders who are stepping into leadership and seeing that it is not just my term as in office as an MP, but it is intergenerational, and that we have to make these issues stick.
We've talked about the impact of the pandemic on the environment, but we also know that generally it's been a social and financial burden to many Kenyans and just different populations around the world. But when we talk about investing in nature and the environment, it often takes a back seat, to be honest, because of how much people have to deal with. You know, from where you sit at UNEP, why would you say it's still an important issue and something that we need to keep talking about now?
Let's face it, irrespective of where you live in the world, the poor are at the extreme end of that exposure, environmental exposure, pandemic exposure, etc. They have less resilience, if you like, because often their jobs take them out, or they're reliant on lands that cannot produce, etc. So understanding, therefore, that protecting the environment, investing in sustainable development, ensuring that climate change does not come to what we fear, that is securing development for all. President Kenyatta said at the opening of the virtual United Nations Environment Assembly here in February of this year that climate change is a development challenge, and that emergency that it poses is really an emergency that we all must face. And he is very right. And I think that that's what we understand. It is a universal issue, and it is one that will take us all to resolve.
Tusker FC, the third team to qualify for FKF Cup quarterfinals after a narrow win over Luanda Villa.
Utavuna nyinyi wote.